Let me tell you something that GPU manufacturers don't want budget builders to hear. Linux has quietly made your old, outdated graphics card more capable than it was the day you bought it, while Windows is quietly pushing you towards a £300 upgrade. The open source community has been doing something else entirely. They have been optimizing the hell out of hardware that Microsoft had already written off, and today I'm looking at three GPUs that prove the point: the RX 5080, the GTX 1070, and the Intel Arc. All of them under 150 second hand, all of them running Cyberpunk and Elden Ring in 2026. And before you say it, yes, on Linux and properly. First up, the undisputed budget king, the AMD RX 580. Why is an 8-year-old card still relevant? Well, one word: Mesa. On Linux, AMD users benefit from the Mesa open source driver project. Unlike Windows, where drivers can become legacy and stop receiving optimizations, the Linux community is constantly refining the Vulkan performance for these Polaris cards. In 2026, you can snag an 8GB model for under £100 or dollars because it has that 8GB VRAM buffer. It avoids the stuttering that plagues newer 4GB budget cards. It's plug and play, no installers, no proprietary bloat, just pure open source performance. And if someone online is selling you a 4GB version of the 5080 at a great deal, walk away. It's not the same card. The 8GB model or nothing. And if you want numbers, because I know you do, Elden Ring at 1080p medium, Mesa Rad V drivers, Proton GE active, you're getting 57 to 60 FPS near locked. Cyberpunk at 1080p low with FSR quality enabled, 52 to 58 FPS, playable consistently on a card that launched in 2017. Here's the part that should make AMD's marketing team uncomfortable. The RX 580 actually performs worse on Windows in 2026. Microsoft dropped optimization, legacy, driver support. Mesa didn't. So the Linux community is actively maintaining performance on hardware the manufacturers themselves walked away from. And I guess that's the whole story of this video, honestly. Then we have the NVIDIA GTX 1070. For years, NVIDIA on Linux was complicated. We dealt with screen tearing and issues with modern Wayland display protocol, but things have changed, thankfully. With the introduction of explicit sync in recent NVIDIA drivers, the 1070 has become a stable, high-performance beast on Linux. While you don't get DLSS on the older Pascal architecture, Linux allows us to force AMD's FSR onto NVIDIA hardware through Proton. So you're getting raw rasterization power that often beats modern entry-level cards, and in 2026, the driver headaches are largely a thing of the past. It's the brute force budget pick for me. But I do have one buying tip, and that is avoid the Founders Edition cards. The aftermarket version, so your Palette, your Evga, your Zotac, run cooler, quieter, and most importantly, cost the same on the second-hand market. So basically, don't pay a premium for the reference blower. Now let's take a look at the real numbers. So Elden Ring 1080p, high settings, 60 FPS locked. Cyberpunk 1080p medium, about 58 to 65 FPS depending on the scene density. These aren't Linux adjusted numbers with asterisks. These are what you get with proprietary NVIDIA drivers and Proton GE doing the heavy lifting. Now, NVIDIA on Linux used to be a complete nightmare. Old forum posts will tell you that you need to avoid it entirely. But that advice is now outdated. The proprietary driver stack has matured significantly since 2023. You still need to install it manually on some distros, but on Bazzite or Nobrara, it's handled for you at setup, which is exactly where a budget builder should start. Now, the next card is the most controversial one I've ever recommended, and that is because it comes with a little bit of a deal breaker. And if you don't know about it before you buy, you will almost definitely waste your money. And I'm not actually being dramatic here, although I have been known for that. But here is what you need to know. Now, for most modern budgets, the top pick is Intel Arc, specifically the A380 and the A580. Intel took a very Linux first approach with their drivers, and it has paid off. However, there is one massive catch to know about, which is resizable rebar or rebar. If your motherboard doesn't support rebar, do not buy this card. But if it does, the Arc A580 is a Vulkan monster because Proton translates DirectX calls onto Vulkan. Intel's strong Vulkan implementation makes it feel like a much more expensive card. Plus, you get AV1 encoding for streaming, something the older AMD Nvidia cards just can't do. With rebar active, and I cannot stress this enough, it has to be active, the A580 hits 62 to 68 FPS in Cyberpunk at 1080p medium. Without it, you're looking at around 38 to 42 FPS, same card, same settings. This is not a rounding error, that is a 40% performance penalty for a BIOS setting. And here's something that will probably surprise you. Intel Arc actually benchmarks better on Linux than on Windows, and that's for several DX12 titles. The Mesa ANV driver development has outpaced Intel's own Windows driver team in specific workloads. And that isn't me just being a Linux advocate, that's a benchmark result. The hardware is being better supported by open source volunteers than by the company that actually manufactured it. Alright, so we have the hardware covered now. Now for the toolkit, because none of those numbers I just gave you happen out of the box. These three tools are what close that gap between it technically running and it actually being good. So the first is Proton GE. Proton is Valve's compatibility layer that runs Windows games on Linux. Proton GE is the community version maintained by a developer called Glorious Eggroll, love the name, and it ships with codecs support, extra patches and performance fixes that the official Valve version doesn't include yet. How do you install it? Well, Proton Up-Qt it's a GUI app, so there's no terminal required, and it manages your Proton GE versions the same way Steam manages game updates. Download Proton Up-Qt, install the latest Proton GE build, then in Steam, go into your game's properties. Select Force Proton version and pick the GE build from the drop-down. And that's it. For the RX5080 specifically, it resolves a shader pre-compilation issue that causes stuttering in open world games. For the 1070, it does unlock the NVIDIA API workarounds that improve frame pacing. For the Arc, it adds DX12 compatibility patches that the standard Proton version doesn't carry. Second, we have Game Mode. This is a background utility that tells your Linux system to prioritize CPU and GPU resources to whatever game is running. So you could think of it as a game mode toggle that Windows pretends to have but doesn't actually execute properly. Real world impact on the budget system is literally 5 to 10% CPU performance improvement, and more importantly, it kills the background process interruptions that can cause micro stutters. The setup is one line in your Steam launch options, basically, and it's called Go Game Mode Run command. That is the whole thing. If you're on Bazzite, it's already installed for you. If you're on a manual distro install, grab it from your package manager first. Either way, it costs you absolutely nothing. Takes 2 minutes and your minimum frame rate will thank you going forward. Third is Mango HUD. If you've used MSI Afterburner on Windows, you already understand what this does. It's an on-screen overlay that shows your GPU temperature, CPU load, frame rate, VRAM usage, basically everything you need to diagnose performance in real time. Now, for budget builders specifically, this is a non-negotiable. You need to know if that temperature spike at the 3-minute mark in a benchmark is thermal throttling or a shader compile stutter. They do look identical on screen. This is where Mango HUD tells you which one it is. You can enable it by adding Mango HUD exclamate or =1 to your Steam launch options alongside the game mode command. Or use Go Volley, a GUI front end that lets you customize exactly what the overlay shows. Either works. And both are free. These are 3 tools, all free, all open source, and together they are the reason the benchmarks I gave you earlier are actually achievable on hardware that costs you under $150 or pounds. So the truth is, Linux gaming in 2026 isn't about who has the biggest GPU. It's about who has the best optimized system. Whether it's the open source reliability of the RX 580, the raw power of the GTX 1070, or the modern features of Intel Arc, incredible gaming is accessible for under £200 or dollars. You don't need a 4090, you just need the right distro and a bit of know-how. What's your budget Linux beast? Let me know in the comments and tell me which distro you're pairing it with. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe for more hardware deep dives. As always, thank you ever so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care of yourselves and I will see you on the next build.